View the Right Thing makes its triumphant return with back-to-back reviews, just like the old days. First up, a brutal rancher terrorizes a small town of the Old West. His hired hands spread fear and intimidation to the locals, who pray for someone brave enough to confront the rancher and free them from their nightmare of terror. Their prayers are answered by two new arrivals, who take up the mantle of the law and begin a showdown with the corrupt rancher. This Old West tale features Jeremy Irons, Viggo Mortensen, Renee Zellweger, and directed and also starring Ed Harris in Appaloosa. Next is the captivating fantasy tale set in early 1920s Los Angeles. A young girl is in the hospital with a broken arm. There, she befriends an injured stuntman who tells the girl of an interwoven tale of 6 men of wildly different origins and backgrounds on a quest for revenge against an oppressive Spanish governor in the 2006 film The Fall. And now, it's time for View the Right Thing.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Hey, welcome back to another episode.
Yes, welcome to Indiana Jaws. Wait a minute. I almost made it all of 2017 without doing that,
You
didn't
didn't
I?
do it. View the Right Thing, ladies and
View
gentlemen.
the Right Thing, starring Wes Weizenhofer. Featuring?
No, what?
I don't know. Starring Wes and Steve. He's Wes
Wes and Steve.
Weizenhofer. I'm Steve Moulton. Wes, say hello so that the listener can calibrate his ear to our voices.
Hello. Hi. Again, you always keep saying hello?
Just say hello, my name is, maybe.
Hello, my name is Wes.
And I'm Steve, as
And
you remember.
This is View the Right Thing.
Welcome. We're talking 2 movies today.
2 movies. Last time we said only one,
Yeah.
but then we snuck one in there.
We switched it up a little bit.
Sneaky movie people we are.
You know, sometimes you got to mix it on around. I don't
Yep.
think people are going to be upset that they're hearing about 2 movies for the price of one today.
Yeah, for the price of one.
Yeah.
What would you price this if you had to put a price on our? I mean, I feel like free is pretty appropriate.
Free is a great price for the consumer, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But you know, it's a seller's market right now.
Is it?
Well, in terms of real estate, I don't know about in terms of podcasts. There are definitely a whole lot of podcasts out there,
Yeah.
and we get to be one of them, and that's pretty fun.
You're wearing your fancy shirt again.
I'm wearing a shirt that you got me.
Yeah.
We'll take a picture of that shirt after the episode.
I would be really happy if McCormick Seasonings sponsored us.
Wouldn't that be something?
Or Lowry's? Is that McCormick's also? They're their own thing, huh? Lowry's.
They're certainly their own brand, but who knows? Maybe they're under the McCormick Seasoning record label.
Yeah, the record label.
Did I say McCormick? I don't know. Look, I've had half a cup of coffee today. My words are going to be garbly.
You know who should sponsor us? Legitimately should sponsor
Universal
us.
Studios Hollywood, the entertainment capital of Los Angeles.
Of LA? No.
Disneyland.
No. Voodoo.
Voodoo.
Because-
Spelled with a U and a U.
Yeah, hip. We watch pretty much all of our movies on Voodoo, and we have recommended it many a time.
That's true, huh? Voodoo is a great service.
They're doing this will be too late for the listeners, but they're doing a $4.99 high def Halloween sale this weekend,
Whoa.
and they were just doing a mix and match for classic movie monsters too.
Yowza. Well, maybe they'll extend it, you know? Maybe
It's
they'll be
October,
like,
everyone.
"Hey, it's October. Let's extend it another week.
You know what that means? It's October. We got to get a couple more episodes out,
Yeah, we do.
and they
Gotta
got to
watch
be
something scary.
some horror movies. Keep our tradition alive.
Yeah, well, fortunately, this first week of October has been horrible enough.
Yeah, we don't have to go there.
We won't go into it, but hey, if you're alive and you're listening and it's October, you know how horrible it's been. So we thank you for listening. We hope we can bring you some laughter and some education.
Some
And,
moviecation.
And let's all keep pushing forward.
That's what we should have called this. Moviecation. We don't really educate about movies enough.
Moviecation?
We don't really educate enough.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about moviecation.
Moviecation.
That's
Like Kevin Smith's podcast. It was a steal from him.
kind of gross. Oh, yeah, because he
He's
does
got
that
enough.
edumacation.
He's got enough money and fame in his life.
Sure, you know.
Spread it around, Kevin Smith.
I'd be in one of his movies. I'm still Kevin Smith. If you're listening, and if you're still making Moose Jaws, I want in.
I desperately want to just be on the crew for anything Mallrats related if they ever get that going.
That would be so cool. Yeah, they were supposed to film that like 80 minutes from my mom's house.
Oh, really?
And I was like, I need to be in that, and I could stay with my mom.
Well, now it's a TV series, I hear.
Even cooler.
So my guess is it'll be
Like Canada.
LA based or Canada, yeah.
Fun stuff is fun. What movies are we talking about today? We're talking about Appaloosa.
And
Starring Ed Harris
Yep.
and Viggo Mortensen.
Vigo,
Renee Zellweger.
he's a ghost from a painting,
Oh, yeah, Viggo the Carpathian.
Carpathian.
And then Jeremy Irons.
Jeremy Irons.
And Lance Henriksen?
Was he in this?
Wasn't he? Well, we'll get to it.
Timothy Spall was in it.
Timothy Spall. Who did he play?
Everybody's favorite not rat.
Everybody's favorite not rat?
Yeah,
what does that mean?
He was Scabbers, the rat,
Oh.
in the Harry Potter films.
Oh, yes, that Timothy Spall.
I mean, he didn't really play the rat. He played the wizard who revealed himself to have been a rat this whole time.
Good old Peter
alert.
Pettigrew.
Peter
Pettigrew. Was that guy Lance Henriksen, or was he the guy that I always confuse Lance Henriksen with?
But I don't remember Lance Henriksen in that movie.
Yeah, Lance. He was Ring Shelton.
Ring Shelton.
Yeah. Well, when we get to the movie, I'll remind you who he was.
Okay.
He had his hair dyed jet black.
Was he part of the train guys?
Yes.
Okay.
You are exactly correct. And we're also talking about The Fall.
The Fall.
Which is a
one
beautiful movie.
One of my favorites.
Starring Ronan the Accuser.
Ronan the Accuser, yes. Lee
And
Pace.
one of the most annoying children I've ever seen.
I thought
on
she's
screen.
adorable.
She's pretty adorable, but
she's so adorable.
It's an annoying role. And it's okay.
Yeah, because it's written
I
that
was
way.
a kid once. Think about how annoying I am as an adult.
Yeah.
Imagine how annoying I must have been when I was a kid. I'll take ownership of it.
But she's so natural, and we'll get to her later. Whatever her name is. Her name is, that girl.
Yeah. Clearly a producer's daughter.
Katinka Untaru.
Say that.
You think she's a producer's daughter?
I don't know.
She's Romanian.
I'm just making up nonsense as we go here. Have you seen anything new in theaters or in trailers?
I'm sorry?
I was asking if you've seen anything new in theaters or any new trailers.
Oh, boy, have I seen anything new in theaters? It's been a little while since I've seen anything. I went and saw Spider-Man again. Not that long ago.
I saw Spider-Man twice.
Yeah, that was my second time.
It's pretty good.
I like that movie. I'm a big Spider-Man fan, so,
I've heard this.
Yeah.
Did you see It?
We did see It.
I am surprised that I've only seen It once because
it was
loved
really good. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It's not scary really, but it's
scary enough.
It's got spooky parts.
It got me real good in that one scene, which I don't want to spoil anything,
Yeah.
but I have not had a good jump scare like that.
I will say that
long time.
The opening blew me away. I was really surprised where they went with that.
Yeah.
Let's just say they went there.
Yeah.
So.
My just my favorite thing. I mean, I've watched the Stephen King It 4 times this year.
Yeah.
I've seen it, had it on in the background while I'm working and what have you, that sort of thing. But essentially, it's been on my television screen 4 times this year.
I do like Harry Anderson and John Ritter.
Absolutely. And this movie did a great job of telling the same story, but in as differently a way as possible so that it didn't feel like a remake at all. It felt like, and it's not a remake if you ask me.
Yeah.
It felt like, okay, here is the story of It again, but we're going to change up as much as we can. We're going to tell it as differently as we can.
They told
while
it really
still giving
close
you
to the
the
book.
same story. Yeah, and that part's great.
Really, really close.
I've never read the book. You have?
Yeah. The movement of Pennywise, the way he moves in it, was, I thought, as a fan of the story, really genius. And I think once the sequel comes out, I think people will understand that better, and I think people will be like, "Whoa, that was a really, really smart move on their part."
Cool.
But yeah, it's
real cool.
They cut out. They only cut out one major thing.
Sure.
They had to.
I'm familiar with that.
Yeah.
And good, frankly, good.
Yeah. Well, I read a thing about like how they changed it and like sort of what the methodology behind it was. So they like left the intent there. In case anybody's wondering, should we just talk about it? No. Okay.
I think it's been talked about enough.
I just wonder if some of our listeners don't know.
They can, you know what? Educate yourselves.
There's a controversial scene at the end of the book.
Of course.
That totally makes sense at the time when you're reading it. And they found a way kind of around it, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah, and they should have found that way around it. My really only critique on the movie is that there's quite a bit too much of those kids hanging out in their tighty-whities in that quarry scene. It's like, really? They couldn't... I mean, it was supposed to be, 1989?
Yeah.
Kids had bathing suits in 1989. You know what I mean? I used to live in New England. I had a bathing suit in the 80s. Kids have bathing suits. They don't need to all go swimming in their tighty-whities.
I think their intention was to originally go swimming, though.
Maybe not. But,
But you were that far from home. You rode your bike all day.
I think I would have gone home and grabbed proper trunks. I don't know. I get it. It felt lascivious to me. It felt a little.
Well,
gross.
I think also too, like, I mean, maybe it would have been the same, but I think like the idea that they're seeing a girl in her underwear, it's different than a bathing suit. When you're at that age, it's different than a bathing suit.
They could have put the kids in bathing suits. That's my only gripe about the movie. They could have put the kids in proper swimsuits.
Doesn't bother me at all. I also, I don't know if I would have felt greatly bothered if they would have like kind of kept but only hinted at the controversial scene.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
I wouldn't have had a problem with it. I would have had a problem if they would have showed it.
Absolutely.
But
I think
it would have been awkward.
Probably all go to jail. I think every adult on the movie would go to jail if they showed it. But yeah, it was so great. I gotta watch it another time. Did you see? I got to go to a premiere.
I saw that. You want to say what movie it was?
It's a movie called Trafficked.
Cool.
And it is heartbreaking.
Were you also in it?
No.
I didn't get an invite.
Friend of the show, Daniel Weiss, was in it. I didn't so much get an invite as, hey, it's playing. Go there and buy a ticket and you can watch it. So that's what I got.
So and, you paid for it. That's fair.
I managed to make that work with my audition schedule.
Where did it premiere at? Chinese?
No, it was at the Arrow in Santa Monica with American Cinematheque.
Oh, interesting.
And kind of a tight theater. I had zero leg room.
I've not been to the Arrow.
The Arrow's fault. It's pretty cool in there. It's kind of a...
I hear it's not as good as the Egyptian, which is the other Cinematheque
No, it's
theater.
not. I love the Egyptian.
The Egyptian's
and
great.
I mean, it's the Egyptian.
If the listeners are, movie theater people...
Yeah. See a movie at the Egyptian.
Go see a movie. I would say the Egyptian more so than the Chinese now.
Yeah.
The Chinese maybe would have been higher on the list before the remodel.
Yeah.
I mean, the Chinese is still really cool if you get a chance to go see both, but they're like 3 blocks from each other.
Yeah,
walking
distance.
They were
nice.
Both theaters that were opened and operated by Sid Grauman.
Good old Sid Grauman.
So you probably heard Grauman's Chinese theater.
See, I always say Grauman's Chinese.
Maybe it's Grauman. I don't know.
Ow.
I always heard Grauman, but
ow, like a disco. Ow.
Yeah, there's a beautiful like scarab carving on the ceiling, and I recommend the first row of the balcony at the Egyptian.
Oh yeah,
is my favorite seat.
I know I've sat in the balcony at least once. I'm trying to remember how the legroom was up there, but I feel like down on the floor, the legroom's really good.
Yeah, the only problem I have with the floor is the angle that the seats are.
Yeah, that gets a little tricky.
Yeah. So it really depends on where you can get on the floor. But if you can get up, usually I can get up in the balcony, first or second row.
Yeah.
First row is pretty good. I think that's where we saw American Sniper was up in the balcony.
We were in the balcony for sure.
I thought it was maybe we were further
back. Might
back.
have been first row.
I usually try to get us up in the.
Might have been third.
Yeah.
I feel like I've got visions in my head of people being right in front of us.
Man, this is probably super boring to people who don't care about movie theaters.
All right, well, listen. Go ahead and enjoy it. Go see a movie at the Egyptian, even if you come to LA for only a few days. Make it happen.
Yeah.
And let's keep going.
Yeah. Yeah.
Chug along forward. So, Trafficked. It's a movie about, frankly, sex slavery.
Not to be confused with Traffic, which is about drug trafficking.
Right. This is now, which, I mean, the two go hand in hand.
Sure.
For example, in Traffic, the one character pretty much becomes a sex slave to her drug dealer so she can just get all the drugs she wants. So the two go hand in hand. But yes, this is about the actual kidnapping and moving and selling off of sex slaves. It happens on both sides of the gender line, In this movie, they pretty much just deal with 3 young girls, all from very different walks of life, who all converge in this one spot for the worst possible reasons. It's a pretty darn well-made movie. I didn't have a problem with any of the performances. It's got Ashley Judd. It's got Sean Patrick Flannery, who was...
Like both those people. Indiana Jones.
Young Indiana Jones, and also in both the Boondock Saints movie. Who else is in it? A lot of good names, a lot of good performances. Unfortunately, the subject matter is just absolutely intense and heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And so that's, a bit of a struggle. I knew it was going to be hard going in.
How was Daniel?
Daniel does a good job. His scene is creepy.
He's just in one scene.
Yeah. Him
Rio's
and our buddy
in it, right?
Rio. Yeah, they're both in the same scene.
Oh, okay.
And it's creepy.
Oh, cool.
But it's necessary because that, in that world, I mean, that is essentially the world of creeps. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it gets you. It gets you right where you live, man. It's an arrow into the heart, and it just twists for about 2-ish hours, and then it was cool. They had a really cool Q&A. They had a sergeant from the LA County Sheriff's Office in the Q&A who's working specifically on the human trafficking investigations.
Yeah.
They had a guy there from a project called Saving Innocence, which is, I guess you could say, sort of an advocate group. So basically, if the cops bust somebody, they're no longer turning the girls, essentially the sex slaves. They're no longer turning them into criminals anymore. They're getting them away from their pimps, their handlers, what have you. And then these guys from Saving Innocence, their advocates come in and start working with those rescued victims right away, because a lot of their advocates are people who were rescued themselves. Pretty awesome kind of thing they got going on. Yeah. But it's a huge problem, and this movie's finally addressing it. They showed it to the UN the other day. They screened it at the United Nations. 450 delegates from the United Nations had to sit through that movie. And they said they heard a lot of good talk about getting the ball rolling on really crushing this goddamn problem.
Wow.
Which is basically as old as humanity itself, unfortunately. So see Trafficked. I'm not going to tell you what else happens in it, but check it out.
It's a limited release, right? And then it comes out on video on demand in January, I think I read. Yeah, I've got the date January 11th in mind. But I heard a lot of talk last night about a few nations, a few theaters across the nation, and that sort of thing. So it's gonna get movement, and it should. Cool. It absolutely should. What did you see? We talked Spider-Man. We talked It. That was the last thing I saw. Was It. Have you seen? Did you go to the Keith Coogan Babysitter double feature? No. I didn't know I was going to be able to get there that day, but it started at 7 o'clock at night, and at about 6:30, I finally finished with my day job. Hauled A down to the Egyptian, got into the movies late, got to watch good old Adventures in Babysitting, which I like a lot. And Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. Don't like that one as much. I like that movie. I like both of them. Both starring good old Keith Coogan of so many movies. And he was there for a Q&A. The girl who played his little sister in Adventures in Babysitting was there. And the director of Adventures in Babysitting was there. Oh, cool. Pretty fun. But no Elizabeth Shue. No Elizabeth Shue, unfortunately. That'd really be the reason they couldn't be there. That would be pretty incredible. I love Elizabeth Shue. Oh, yeah, Anthony Rapp. I love Anthony Rapp. Yeah, and he's great as Daryl, the pesky best friend in Adventures in Babysitting. He was a good Charlie Brown also. Vincent D'Onofrio wasn't there. When did Rapp play Charlie Brown? He played Charlie Brown on Broadway. That's cool. They won like a bunch of awards for it and stuff. Tony Awards? Yeah. Nice. He was also in Rent on Broadway and the movie. That much I knew. Apparently, Rent is getting the network television treatment. That's strange. Yeah, you know how they're doing the live musicals on network TV for the last couple years? Oh, it's getting one of those. You know how... I don't know if I like that. Do you know... I'm trying to think of a good joke. The movie was fine enough. Just leave it at that.
I can't stop them. Apparently, those things I guess they get decent enough ratings because they are kind
cast
of
some Disney Channel person as Roger and
I don't know, man.
Mimi.
Is that any different than casting some quote unquote Broadway person?
I don't know.
You know how long it's going to be?
How long? Oh, no. No.
I won't even go into it. I'm sure the listener could do the math on that joke. But yeah, apparently that's going to get the live televised teleplay treatment. Teleplay's a word we don't say enough.
I think the reason why I don't like it and why I don't like the Disney Channel thing is because they come across so, like, over the top and saccharine.
Of course.
And this is not the material for that.
Certainly not. But see, I feel the movie did that just the same. No offense to what's his name.
I like Rosario Dawson a lot, and I think.
Yeah, she did a great job.
I think Rap was good. I thought all the returning people were good.
What's the guy who played like the leather jacket tough guy?
Roger.
I mean, that guy just ain't a tough guy.
He's from the original.
I know, but he's not a New York street tough
they're
guy.
Not tough guy. He wasn't.
He kind of plays a tough guy.
The character's not a tough guy.
He kind of is. There's literally a scene where he like tough talks a drug dealer out of something. I forget what, but it's like you would have gotten your butt stomped right there. But I get it. But see, I always feel like Broadway waters stuff like that down just as much as anything else would. But
I think there's something there's something different about. Like you kind of have to play a little over the top because you're projecting and you're playing to a large room and stuff.
Of course,
that doesn't translate to film very well. That's why I liked the movie version because I didn't think they played it up as much as an actual theatrical play.
All right.
Like I said, I really liked Rosario Dawson in it a lot.
Yeah. I like
and Anthony. I just like Anthony Rappin. Although it would have been fine if Neil Patrick Harris had reprised that role.
Sure.
See, if they want to bring some adults, some people with some real chops, not just pop singers, in to do this stuff. But I don't want to see
we'll see.
I don't want to see Ariana Grande as Mimi. You know what I mean?
I'd be very surprised if that happened. Very surprised. I have a feeling she's a little too big.
Who would you cast?
Doing that.
Des, who would you listen to pop music?
Okay.
Who would you cast in Rent?
Okay, so here's part of the problem.
You come in here. Come in here.
I don't know. We're gonna get. I'm
gonna give Des my mic.
I'm way behind on pop these days. I'm sure it'll be the Cash Me Outside girl as Maureen.
Who'd you cast in Rent?
Okay, so part of the problem with this is that I listen to pop music, but I don't know what any of those people look like.
Oh.
You're ahead of the game already.
Lord would play Maureen.
Lord is Maureen.
Okay.
I
mean, I think that Ariana Grande would probably
be Mimi,
fit in there.
Right?
Yeah, I think that.
I don't want to see that though.
I don't think that's going to happen.
She was in she was in Hairspray.
Oh, was she?
She was the Amanda Bynes character, the friend.
Oh, I bet they
put glad I don't
some
watch
of those One Direction boys in it.
So Liam is Roger.
I mean, I don't know what any of them look like.
Oh, it's either him or Nick Jonas. Nick Jonas is Roger.
Yeah, I can see maybe Nick Jonas.
No, but I don't want that. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I'm not saying I want that. I'm just saying.
Who,
wait, is Nick the hot Jonas or the second hot Jonas?
I don't know.
I think Joe's the hot one.
There's 4 of them, right? So
3.
No, there's
a fourth one.
Brother.
Well, yeah, but he wasn't one of the Jonas brothers.
Yeah, he was much younger.
Well, of course he was. But I'm saying, when they were the Jonas
he wasn't
brothers,
singing with them,
there was 3 of them.
I'm just saying.
He's much younger.
Technically, there are 4. I think it's a shame for
there's a
poor
fourth
guy
brother
to be discounted as not a Jonas brother.
No, he's a Jonas brother,
Janet.
but he wasn't in the Jonas
you
Brothers,
guys are off topic,
the band.
So.
He's their Janet, He's their Janet and LaToya in one.
Who plays? What's the Anthony Rapp's character's name in Rent?
Dougal?
No, Mark.
Oh, Mark.
Who plays Mark? Because that's probably, in my opinion, the most important character of the whole thing is Mark. Because he's the one who's sort of like
the Adam ruins everything guy.
No. Adam Pally? No.
what's his name? Adam Conover. Mark will be Murr from Impractical Jokers.
Ugh. Ugh. Like, who's a singer? Who's like a young Ed Sheeran?
Yeah, maybe.
Ed Sheeran.
He is too old.
He just looks like he would
There's
be a
some.
Mark.
I'm trying to think.
It'll be an actor that also sings.
That can sing. Like, not Ryan Gosling. I think he's also maybe too old.
Too old. Yeah, it'll be like somebody on, like, it'll be AJ Kappa from Riverdale.
There you go.
Oh yeah. I could see that being a thing
He's
that
too
they would do.
He's too hunky.
Too hunky.
He's too hunky
As if
for
anybody
Mark.
can be.
Mark is like, like the introverted movie maker guy, like the nerdy movie maker guy. That dude's way too hunky.
Yeah.
Can't cast. Give me my mic back.
Okay.
Well, we'll see how it plays out. This is all just hearsay. I could have made the whole thing up. I don't know.
I hope you
No,
did.
I heard about it on Never Not Funny with Jimmy Pardo.
Well, that's definitely not funny that they're doing that.
But it's never going to stop. As long as those things get ratings, they're going to keep doing them,
People stop watching garbage like that. I'm sorry. I should.
They do eventually.
You know what? If people enjoy it, they should be able to watch it. People
Yeah.
should have their thing. I apologize for being a curmudgeon.
Have your thing. Speaking of our thing, you just made a music video.
Yeah, but that's not movie related. We don't have to talk about that.
Well, you filmed it. You directed it.
It's true.
You organized it, scripted it, shot it.
I mean, I'm
it's
just
good.
a humble servant. Well, thank you.
As a fellow humble servant, I get what you mean. I got to be in a couple of shoots since our last recording.
Yeah.
I got to be on a pilot for The Messenger starring Tom Bergeron.
Yep.
You know Tom Bergeron, host of America's Funniest Home Videos and Dancing with the Stars. And he's starring in the show. I'm not allowed to discuss the plot, but they do want us to mention The Messenger. Hashtag The Messenger.
Yeah, I probably
Very exciting.
I probably should also mention. I should do my due diligence and support the.
You absolutely.
I mean, I'm
should.
proud of the music video. I don't want you to get my ambivalence. I just feel weird about like promoting my stuff.
Well, do it anyway because that's the world we live in. Who is the musician?
Devin Dygert.
Devin Dygert. Double D in the place to be.
Dygert.
That sounds correct.
And it's for his song called "Dope," which
Dope.
you can get on.
Triple D.
You can
Devin
listen to it on
Dygert,
like
Dope.
Spotify and stuff, but you can.
Oh, it's out already on there?
Oh yeah, you can buy it on iTunes.
Awesome.
And then the music video drops on Friday, the October 13th. Friday the
Dropping
13th.
it on a Friday.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's good or not.
I don't know either. That's not my call.
Fair enough.
But people seem to be pretty happy with it so far.
Well, you just let me watch it, and I'm not going to tell about what happens in it, but it is a good video.
Well, thank you.
I'm very proud of you for making that good video right there.
Thanks, buddy.
And I kind of want to go party with all those, I'm assuming 22-year-old Instagram hepcats. No? Oh, darn. Okay, I don't want to party with any of those
Younger,
people.
yeah. There was only one that was not a minor.
Oh, no!
Yeah.
Oh, my God. So
We had
did they
parent-
all have to have parents
Yeah,
there?
we
and
had
stuff?
parents on set.
Well, that's good then. Keeping within the bounds of the law is always a good idea.
But we had two really great leads in it
Yeah, they did good
who
work.
who are Instagram people.
Yeah.
They're pretty well known on Instagram, and they were fantastic, and I loved them, and I hope to work with them again.
Awesome. You are getting blown up with the text messages,
It's the
bro.
Instagram is just hitting me up.
Oh, see, I've turned my notifications off because I check Instagram so often that I just never need to have my notifications.
I forget to use Instagram.
I understand.
So, but it's funny. I will share this little tidbit from the music video. So I was talking to the kids. There's a scene with a bunch of kids, and I was talking to some of them about social media and stuff, and they were all meeting each other for the first time, and a couple of them like just hit it off. They were like best friends immediately.
Cool. But then there was at least one fist fight, right?
And I was like, "Oh, did you? No fist fights.
Oh.
Everybody, there was a lot of love there."
Wow.
I was like,
Got a
did
big
you?
motorcycle out there?
Yeah. Did you exchange contact info and social media and all that stuff? And they're like, yeah, of course. They had long done that.
Yeah.
And then I started asking them about, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and confirmed with them that those things, only Instagram is really very important to young people these days.
Wow,
apparently.
really?
Yeah.
Wow. Wild. That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
I don't bother with Snapchat. I know for a little while Snapchat was the biggest, but I wonder if Instagram has now
I have a
outpaced Snapchat again.
but
I don't think I'll ever get one.
No, I don't get the whole like putting animal ears on,
Sure.
doing selfies, like maybe for children, little kids.
Yeah, I could see a little kid having fun with that, and a lot of people do it. I mean, every friend of mine,
But when I see anyone over the age
Does
of
it a
16
lot.
doing it, I'm just like, come on.
don't you have better things to be doing?
But we're
I don't know.
curmudgeons.
Apparently, people are making money on that crap.
We're old curmudgeons, so what do we know?
I'm not old. Are you old?
I mean, we're about the same age, buddy.
We are, but you're only as old as you feel, man.
Feeling pretty old right now.
You know what? Disneyland right after this. Let's go.
All right, so let's move on from
dip dive into Appaloosa.
Is this the worst episode we've ever done?
No, not even close.
Like you immediately knew that this wasn't
Not even close.
What was the
Our
worst
Oscar episode was 3 hours long.
But
bro.
at least we stayed on topic.
That's true.
And I think it was interesting, and I won. So
part of why I'm on the it's the worst side.
I can't wait for next year's Oscar episode.
Oh man, that's going to be intense. That's coming soon, frankly. I mean, what's that? That's going to be what? January, February? That's going to be here in the blink of an eye.
Yeah. That's great.
It's like September of 2017 went by so fast it almost didn't even exist. God help us. All right, let's talk Appaloosa.
Appaloosa. It's about horses.
It's not about. It is a Western movie, a 2008 Western movie, starring Ed Harris and Viggo Mortensen,
Yep.
Renee Zellweger,
I just like you just running it.
Lance Henriksen, Jeremy Irons. It opens with
Timothy Spall. You keep
Timothy
forgetting
Spall.
Timothy Spall. He was great
Timothy
in it.
Murphy.
Timothy Murphy.
Yeah, he's the he was what's his name? Jeremy Irons' kind of right hand man with the gray beard. So it opens with some lawmen from a little town called Appaloosa. They roll up to this guy's ranch, try to arrest him, and he shoots them all down. 3 lawmen, bang, 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 dead on his property. And well, sure enough, the townsfolk, the people that run the town, having just lost like their sheriff and 2 of his deputies, they can't figure out what to do about this guy who owns this ranch right on the edge of town and thinks he can just get away with murder.
Yes.
So they call in Marshall Cole, played by Ed Harris, and his buddy Everett Hitch, played by Viggo Mortensen.
Cole and Hitch.
Cole and Hitch.
Subjects of a novel series, a book series.
Called?
I don't know. It's just the Cole and Hitch book series.
Possibly.
I think the books are all different names.
Oh, cool. So Cole and Hitch come into town. Marshall Cole's this sort of legendary lawman. People know his name. Hitch is his buddy, and Hitch narrates the movie and talks about, I first met Marshall Cole when I backed him up with my 8-gauge in a fight at the blah, blah, blah. Now, Hitch pretty much spends the whole movie carrying an 8-gauge shotgun around.
That's significant.
It's a significantly sized gun.
Yeah.
It's huge. I remember the first time I saw this movie at the movie theater, and I was just like, how does a man lug that gun around all day?
Right.
It's gigantic. I guess that's what's typically known as an elephant gun.
Oh, really?
I think so.
Wow.
And yeah, I mean, just imagine the biggest shotgun you can imagine. Now bump it up a few notches, and that's Hitch's 8-gauge, which he uses with almost Billy the Kid-esque speed and accuracy. And so Cole and Hitch get hired, and Marshall Cole tells the forefathers of the town, the founding fathers, whatever you call them. He's like, look, if you want me to get control back of your town, you got to let me be the law.
Yeah.
And so he starts laying down these laws, and sure enough, Jeremy Irons and his band of bad guys, they start trying to defy those laws and act like tough guys, and Hitch and Cole got to take them to task.
Yeah. I would just swing back around to the shotgun.
Yeah.
The 8-gauge shotgun. Those don't really exist anymore.
Really?
Yeah. I'm not a gun nut.
Me either.
But I did learn this interesting fact about the movie, that they ended up having to have replicas
Whoa.
They had to contract out replicas of the gun because there's not very many left anymore.
They've got to be somewhere.
I guess they're from like the early to mid 1800s.
Holy moly!
And so they contracted out somebody to provide replicas of the guns because they couldn't use real ones.
Right, that's crazy. There's somebody out there has a basement full of them. That they've been sitting on for decades.
I guess they were late 1800s. I apologize.
Yeah.
1870s, 1880s, right around that area.
Pretty intense.
Yeah. So they designed special guns and special rounds for it.
Yeah.
I guess. And then they were given aged finishes.
Aged finishes. What do they call that? That's not pastiche, right? That's patina.
Patina. Thanks, Des, in the other room.
Des has got her ears on. So then, like any good movie, a woman gets involved. And that woman is Renee Zellweger of Jerry Maguire, Empire Records.
It was originally Diane Lane.
Bridget Jones. Really?
Yeah.
Wow. That would have been
I don't know why she dropped out.
something different. Well, I mean, I look at it this way. I look at that movie, and I love that movie, Appaloosa, right?
Yeah.
Starring Ed Harris and Viggo Mortensen. I got to tell you, it's a movie set in the Old West. Old West usually means desert. They were certainly in a little dry, dusty desert town. And they were all dressed in about 94 layers of clothing at
especially
all
her.
times. Yeah, especially Renee Zellweger.
I feel like that was a thing, though, back
Oh, yeah,
then,
it was. But I don't know how people survived that.
Yeah, I think about just like the 50s.
Yeah.
And how dudes wore suits all the time.
All the time. And I look at that and I'm just like, how was anybody ever comfortable? Maybe that's why everybody was alcoholics and abusive back then. Because they were always just so uncomfortable.
Cranky from wearing wool all the time.
Yeah, they were all just jammed into multiple layers of wool, buttoned all the way up to their chin, and just, fighting off the plague. So they got that going for them.
Yeah.
But boy, oh boy, those look like uncomfortable times. Well, Marshall Cole gets a bit of a crush on good old
Allison French.
Allie French.
Yeah,
and she gets a bit of a crush on him, but she kind of real quickly gets a bit of a crush on everybody as she goes about
that girl.
Her day.
I did not like this character.
Allie French?
And I'm not...
Well, she's supposed to be kind of unlikable.
I was going to ask, do you think she's supposed to be unlikable because, not to jump too far forward, but, I think we're sort of supposed to accept her by the end of the film. And I never really did.
Got a prowler out there?
Something moving across the lawn.
Giddy?
Yeah, I didn't like her from beginning to end. But I wonder if I would have had different feelings if it wasn't Renee Zellweger.
Interesting.
Because when she plays unlikable...
Yeah.
Did I say her name right? Zellweger?
Zellweger. Yeah, you got it.
Okay. When she plays unlikable characters, they're just really unlikable. There's just nothing really redeeming about them.
Sure. So what you're saying is she did her job.
There wasn't a lot of nuance there, but I think someone like Diane Lane, generally when she plays characters that are a little unlikable, they tend to at least feel like they have some redeeming qualities.
All right.
I wonder if I would have had an easier time accepting her at the end of the film.
Interesting. Very interesting indeed. Well, it's already 9 years old. We may never know how different Appaloosa would be with Diane Lane.
Zellweger.
Yeah, Zellweger.
I feel like I'm saying her name wrong. I don't know why.
Well, the thing about Allie is I think she's supposed to be pretty unlikable because basically what she does is she falls for Cole, quote unquote, falls for him. Mm-hmm. But it was a very different time for women. So kind of her options were get myself a good husband.
Well, she's desperate too because she's a widow.
Yeah. And so it's so as she's moving through life, her choices are basically, fall in love with this guy. Or maybe if something better comes along, fall in love with that guy.
Well, she's also attracted to power.
She's definitely attracted to power.
So she's just a kind of... Should we cover her liaisons?
I suppose so.
So she falls for Ed
Virgil
Harris.
Cole.
Yep, because he's powerful and he's like no nonsense, and he takes an interest in her.
Yeah.
And he has Hitch do a lot of his, like, kind of his bidding. You know, do this, do this, do this.
Hitch is his sidekick.
At some point, it seems like almost like Hitch is doing a lot of the work.
Yeah.
And so when Hitch and Allison end up alone together, I think she perceives him to be the guy in power. And so she makes a move on him.
Sure.
And then when all that doesn't work out, she makes some moves on the bad guy.
She does.
What's his name? Jeremy Irons' character.
Not Cole. Cole's the good guy.
Cole's the good guy.
Randall Bragg.
Bragg. So she works for him and definitely hooks up with him. And then there's a scene with some captors, and she moves on over to them because they're the guys in power. It's just like it was a squirrel that was outside. Sorry, squirrel.
We're talking about a gunslinging western here, Wes.
I liked the movie. I don't know if I go back and rewatch it a bunch, but
No.
I thought it was good. We'll get to my feelings about it later, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. She's so finicky in the film.
That's for sure.
It's just so unlikable.
I enjoy the scene when it's Cole and Hitch and Allie French all sitting together out in the desert. You know, they're on her sort of rescue mission, and and Hitch just flat out tells Cole right then. He's like, Virgil, I got to tell you, Allie kissed me that day when you sent me down to her house or something. And she's just like, oh my God, that's not true, blah, blah, blah. And Virgil's just like, yeah, I know that it is true.
Yeah.
And he's not mean about it, you know, like nobody gets mean to each other, but he just flat out says, like, you know, Hitch is my right-hand man. He's never lied to me about anything. He's essentially saved my life who knows how many times. So I know that he's telling me the truth, and you are trying to cover your ass.
Well, there's an interesting dynamic there between the three of them where he knows that Hitch, he can trust Hitch with his life.
Yeah.
And he knows that he can't trust Allison with his life, but he will gladly give his life for Allison.
Right.
It's a really bizarre, I guess, but kind of lovely sentiment.
Yeah. Well, you know, he's an old man. He wants somebody in his life with him, and so he's kind of willing to make those compromises.
Yeah, but he doesn't ever, like, it's sort of implied that he doesn't really ever show an interest in a relationship with people. It's implied that he's been with other women and not really cared.
Yeah.
But never really been like a settling down. Like there's sort of like like Hitch kind of scoffs at that idea at first because that's not the kind of guy he is. But for whatever reason, this one woman makes him want to settle down. Interesting. But yeah, it's.
I think it's more of just he's realizing that at some point he's going to have to conform to what society expects of him, which is, you know, be an old man with a wife and some kids, because that's all there was to do back in those days, you know. And so he's just like, I think he's sort of just thinking, well, eventually I'm going to have a wife and kids, and here's a woman I like, so let's see.
Yeah, maybe.
It's a fun movie though. It's a tough guy movie. I love the scene when Viggo Mortensen takes the horse up to the natives. I love that scene.
Yeah.
Doesn't say a damn word, and it's just like there's just a lot of very unspoken, like, this agreement happening between them. I love that scene.
So in the film, these characters kind of get caught up with Bragg. Bragg is sort of the outlier for the town. He provides business and money, but he also kind of does whatever the hell he wants, which is a problem
he wants
for the townspeople. And then you have these two guys who come into town who are hired to be the new. Are they marshals or are they sheriffs? He's the new sheriff, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
And these guys just don't care about it. Like, they just don't give an F, right? They're just
I mean, they you know, Bragg basically wants to just be above the law. He just wants to be like, well, I'm rich enough to buy and sell this whole town, so I shouldn't have to obey the law. And these guys are like, no, the law's the law, and we're here to remind you, punk ass.
And we'll just shoot you.
Yeah.
Like, they just have no qualms about it.
Oh, how much do you love the standoff when they've got Bragg in the jail cell and all his men roll up and they're like, you're going to let him out. And Cole's just like, no, I'm not. And they just... And what I also like about that scene is it shows, like, because there's a lot of scenes with movies where the bad guys are just kind of dumb and do whatever, you know, and just attack. And this is really a sort of a more of a fight of the mind, because it's all those bad
logical
guys. They're thinking human beings, you know.
Yeah.
And they know, like, we kind of are at a loss, even though we outnumber him drastically.
Yeah.
You know, if we try to really storm this place and get our boss, all we're going to do is get him killed. And I like the fact,
some of us, yeah,
and some of them, yeah. And I like the fact that they, you know, that they have that in mind.
Well, that's the other thing that's, I think, kind of interesting about the movie is that it's not a Western in the sense of like what we know Westerns to be today.
Sure.
It's more old. It's more realistic, and it's got like some older sensibilities to it. It's almost not even a Western, right? It's almost just kind of a drama. That happens to take place in the West. Yeah. If there wasn't, you know, a train robbery, horses, essentially, and
a couple of standoffs,
you could have put this in. You could have made this a gangster film. You could have made this, you know, you could have dropped it in a whole lot of different genres.
Yeah.
Because their approach to it isn't that like mythological West. It's a more grounded West.
I can agree with that.
And it feels like, hey, this could have actually happened. If it wasn't for like some of the more fantastic things that aren't really, I don't want to use the word fantastic, but like, so the end of the film, our heroes survive. They should not have survived that. Like, that's the one.
You think?
Yeah, that's the one thing where I was like, yeah, those guys are dead. I thought they were dead for sure.
All right. Interesting.
Because everything is grounded in reality. That's the one moment where I was like, this is the most Western thing to have happened, is for these two guys to have survived that.
Okay. I think I know which part you're talking about. We won't get into spoilers. Although, if you're listening, you should have watched it.
Yeah, we can talk spoilers.
Pretty sure it's on HBO Go right now. And Vudu, of course.
Yeah, Vudu, yeah. Vudu are not sponsor.
Yeah. Should we get into the fall?
I mean, are we done with... Is that all? Have you said all you want to say about Appaloosa?
Well, I haven't, because unfortunately, this week, Appaloosa closes with a really good song by Tom Petty and Mudcrutch called Scare Easy.
Yeah.
And it's a favorite song of mine. And unfortunately, we just lost Tom Petty this week. The day after all that horrifying business in Las Vegas went down. And then poor Tom Petty, cardiac arrest. There was an absolutely insane early announcement of his death while he was indeed still alive and being hospitalized and treated. And so that whole day was just people being like, rest in peace, Tom Petty. Oh, wait, what? Oh, no, he's actually alive. Oh, no. And it was just a bad day to be on the internet, frankly.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mudcrutch, Scare Easy, pretty cool song. Very appropriate for a movie about Virgil Cole and Everett Hitch. And rest in peace, Tom Petty, man.
Yeah, it was sad. I did think of something else that I actually really liked about the movie.
Let's hear it.
Just kind of going back to the idea of it being like grounded, and not being it just falls into that Western thing.
Yeah.
The movie kept surprising me because I kept expecting it to fall into that the traditional Western thing. There's a kid who I really liked in it who was part of Bragg's crew who agrees to testify against him.
Yeah.
And it was like, so first I was like, okay, that kid's going to show up and he's going to try to tell the truth and he's going to get killed.
Yeah.
And then the kid didn't get killed. And then it was like, okay, we're going to protect this kid until he testifies. It was like, well, he's never going to get to court. And then he gets to court. And I was like, well, in a Western, they never have a courtroom scene, you know?
Right.
Like, very rarely do they do that. And then it was like, okay, well, the judge will be bought off. And then the judge wasn't bought off. The judge also played by Ed Harris's father.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. I love his role. I love his bees are in the butter line.
Yeah, and so it was like, all of these things that would normally happen in a Western to prevent from getting to the stage.
Yeah.
And then I guess it takes a little bit of a noir, sort of like a film noir thing where, like, I mean, if Allison wasn't such a pain in the ass,
right,
and she wasn't like so important to Cole, then justice would have been served.
For sure.
Women are always the problem. That's a film noir thing, right?
Yeah.
Is that women are always the cause of all your troubles.
Darn it, film noir.
But yeah, and so then it was like, oh well, now she's kidnapped. They just got to go rescue her, and then they see her like frolicking with the bad guys, and it's like, again, this movie just does not take the turns you think it's going to take.
Yeah,
because it's not a Western. It's not a movie that's a Western. It's what's the phrasing I'm thinking?
Genre bending.
It's a Western in spite of itself. Like
okay.
Like it's a Western by accident almost. Like it just happens to be taking place in this time period with these guns and these, these bad guy ranchers or whatever.
Guns, horses, ranchers, shootouts.
But the movie's not about the shootout. The movie's not It's not about the horses or the cowboy hats or the guns or the train robbery. It's not about any of those things. It's about like this
natives.
This guy's unwavering like morality and his loyalty to his friend and his woman.
Yeah.
Which I guess is kind of a Western-y thing, but it's also a broad. It could be medieval.
So what you're saying is watch Appaloosa. And
it's worth a watch.
See how different it is.
It's worth a watch. Not my favorite of all the films we've watched, but certainly not one I disliked.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear.
Now, do you want to talk about The Fall?
Yeah.
A movie I really love.
I can see why.
It's so pretty.
Beautiful movie. It's almost like, in a way, taking a tour through, a museum of just the most fantastical paintings you could ever possibly imagine.
But come to life.
Come to life at real locations.
Yeah.
That are just mind-boggling. It's there's a lot of incredibly beautiful stuff going on in that movie, and then there's also a lot of really funny stuff and some really creepy stuff, and
it's a beautiful fairy tale.
Yeah.
Excuse me. It's a beautiful fairy tale, and it's heartbreaking, and Desiree says it's in her top 5.
It's in her top 5.
It's so much fun to watch because I remember there was a moment where you were like, "That's not a real place," and I was like, "Yeah, that's a real place." Man.
I felt that way about a lot of the locations in that movie. It's just how could that exist at all?
Yeah,
it's wild.
And there's amazing camera work and placement of things. Like there's a really great shot where you see a character and it flashes to a match cut of rocks, like a rocky terrain, and the rocky terrain makes his face, and you're just like, that's another one of those moments where you're like, that's not real, that's all digital, and then the camera starts to move and you see the shadows and stuff, and you're like, holy cow, I can't believe how they put that together.
Yeah, that is insane when that happens. Yeah, I felt like I was on, I don't know, shrooms or something. I've never done any of that stuff.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling to do some of that stuff is what The Fall would make me.
The movie's a trip, yeah.
It is a trip, for sure. How does it start?
So it starts this beautiful black and white imagery of I don't know how to explain it.
You got a train on a bridge.
Well, you got a train on a bridge, you got a horse in the water, they're trying to rescue the horse, and there's clearly a problem, something has gone wrong. What we later learn is it's images of a stunt gone wrong.
Yeah.
Jumping off a bridge onto a horse in water or something.
I think so.
So we have
the mic back.
We have a 1910s,
something like
early
that,
1900s.
Yeah.
California.
Felt very pre-war.
Yeah. It's a hospital in California and there is a little girl,
a pesky little girl,
who's actually named Alexandria, who's actually Romanian but is playing.
Probably Italian.
I think she's supposed to be Mexican in the film. Her
Oh,
father
right.
is, and there's sort of this thing about migrant workers being burned out of their homes.
Oh yeah.
So I think, I mean, maybe there's something else, but and I think her mother speaks Spanish in the.
That sounds correct.
In the film. So she is in this hospital. She's got a broken arm.
Yeah.
Like a full arm cast with a little thing that props her arm up all the time. And she comes across this stuntman who is clearly to us is paralyzed from the waist down.
Right. Played by good old Lee Pace.
Lee Pace.
Of Pushing Daisies, right?
Yeah.
Of course, Guardians of the Galaxy. Maybe you heard of that movie.
Mm-hmm.
He's the bad guy.
Yep. And we have Justine Waddell, who
She the nurse?
is the nurse, who you've probably seen in stuff, but yeah, she's pretty great. So this little girl comes across this guy, and he is kind of at his wit's end, and wants to end his life. And he tricks her by telling her a fairy tale.
Yeah.
And he stops at the parts that are the best, the most interesting.
Right.
And then says, I'll help you if you get me some pills, if you get some morphine, because I need it.
Yeah. If you help me with the pain medication, I'll continue the story for you.
And so we get this story that sort of is told from partially his story and partially what he thinks about her and things that she knows. Like she talks about knowing a man from India, well, an Indian.
Yeah.
Who we know as a man from India.
Yeah, I thought that was a fun little change up. How he starts telling the story
as an Indian,
talking about an Indian.
Yeah.
He's in his story, it's a Native American.
Yes.
But then as we see the story, it's actually a man from India.
Because we're seeing her what she sees in the story.
Cool.
And there's an Indian, a masked bandit, a one-legged demolitions expert, and Charles Darwin.
Charles Darwin, and what was the classification of the very large black man who had horns on his helmet? And,
was he the...
What was he referred to as? Oh.
He was the former slave.
That's what he's credited as?
Well, I mean, that's his character was...
Otabenga, ice delivery man.
Well, so they're all people that she's seen. That's who she kind of slots in. So the bandit originally starts as her father, but becomes Lee Pace's character after we learn that her father is
mask off.
Yeah, we learn that her father has died.
Yeah.
From the people that burned their home, and so the bandit becomes Lee Pace's character. The ice delivery man, the guy who brings ice to the hospital, is this big tall black guy.
Yeah.
And
Otabenga.
He's just the ice delivery man, but his character is Otabenga, the former slave, whose brother died in chains.
With a gnarly horn helmet.
Yeah.
And a pretty cool bow and arrow.
Yep.
But he escaped slavery, right? Didn't he fight his way out? And now
he broke his chains, and so the whole thing is they worked on a plantation that was owned by the
Governor Odious.
The evil
big
Governor
bad
Odious.
guy of the whole story.
And again, Governor Odious is played by essentially a man from Lee Pace's character's life.
Yeah.
Who is Roy is Lee Pace's character from Roy's life, who is this famous movie star who essentially stole Roy's girlfriend, and which broke Roy's heart. So that's another piece to Roy wanting to die, is that his girlfriend is gone and he can't walk, can't feel his legs, and so he just wants to end his life. The Indian is someone who was an orange picker.
Oh yeah.
In Alexandria's at the orchard that Alexandria works at, even though she's a little girl and shouldn't work there.
Little girl with a broken arm shouldn't be picking oranges.
The one-legged demolitions guy is the guy is a one-legged guy who is, I think, maybe Roy's manager or agent. He could be the director. I'm not 100% sure. But he's somebody involved in Roy's work life.
Yeah, but he's not another patient at the hospital, though, right?
No.
But he visits.
And then Charles Darwin is an orderly at the hospital.
Yeah.
And then Sister Evelyn from the story is Nurse Evelyn.
Foxy nurse.
From the hospital.
Oh, Sister Evelyn.
And the monkey is just the monkey.
A rascally little primate. Skinning knees and throwing feces.
And you really, one of the things I really like about the movie, besides how beautiful it is how attached to the characters you get.
Yeah.
And as the story becomes more difficult for Roy to tell because he just wants to end everything, you feel the pain of loss as it goes on. So it's like I kind of almost don't want to say too much about this movie because I know there's people listening to this that haven't watched it yet, and I'm just like, oh,
is that true, listener? Have you not watched The Fall and you're listening to this episode about The Fall?
It's one of those movies.
You better get busy with finding a copy of it.
When it came out, I feel like it was kind of a little bit misunderstood, and it wasn't getting great reviews.
I don't even remember. I never heard about it till like 2010.
Roger Ebert gave it a really good review. It's one of the last movies he reviewed, I think, before he died.
Yeah.
And he gave it a really good review. And I remember loving this film and then seeing reviews come out and people not liking it or not understanding it.
Yeah.
A lot of people were kind of like, well, the story meanders too much. It
does a little bit of that.
But I mean, intentionally so.
Sure.
The story is not consistent in that Roy changes the story throughout the movie intentionally.
Right.
Because the little girl doesn't understand something, or because her father's dead and so it changes characters, or something happens in the hospital and that causes him to change the story because he's trying to relate it to her. It's kind of like when you tell a child a bedtime story and you make them part of the bedtime story.
Not the way I tell bedtime stories.
Well, you get what I'm saying, though, right?
I don't think I've ever actually told a kid a bedtime story.
Okay. And then
all right.
Years later, just for fun, I looked it up, and it seemed like all of a sudden there were a lot of really positive reviews. Yeah. And even some reviewers had gone back and changed their reviews.
Oh,
so
all right.
I think over time people started to understand it a little bit better.
Well, that's good.
The director Tarsem, who did The Cell, which is also like a mind trip of a film, visually. Are you still?
I've got a low bat blink.
Oh, it's okay. I think we can get through.
Okay.
If it goes off altogether, then we'll worry about it.
All right.
Yeah. So I forgot. I lost my place.
I don't know. Hand me that iced tea while you find your place.
Sure.
Please.
But yeah. So I think it was originally kind of a little misunderstood and then eventually appreciated. But yeah, I love this movie.
Pretty darn good movie. Definitely a must-see. If for nothing else than the locations and the visuals and what have you.
It took them 4 years to make the movie.
Holy shnikes.
You want to take a guess at how many countries they shot it in?
19.
28.
Whoa, I was only 9 off.
Let's see here. What else? What's that, Des? The costumes are really good. Everything about it is just it's really well made. I mean, it's not. I can't think of a lot of flaws for the film. I mean, maybe some of the acting's not. It's a little wooden.
Sure.
The little girl at times, you can tell she's searching for her lines. But it kind of, to me, adds to her charm.
Yeah, I mean, I don't expect a child to know what they're about to say anyway.
Yeah. Let's see here. Apparently it's inspired by another film, a foreign film called Yo Ho Ho.
Yo Ho, Yo Ho.
No, Yo Ho Ho.
Pirates Life for Lee Pace. Yo Ho Ho. Spelled as it sounds, or is it like D's Ho's where it's spelled Heaux?
No, just Ho.
Yo Ho Ho.
And
a bottle of Fun.
The magic word. Do you remember the magic word from the story?
The magic word from the story.
Or the old man tells her the magic word to make the bad things go away.
Was the magic word that the old man told her to make the bad things go away was spaghetti.
No. Googly, 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 be gone.
Googly, 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 be gone. I don't remember that.
Googly is... You don't remember that?
No. I mean, I watched the movie one time.
And then
I have a terrible memory.
When all the bad stuff's happening, she's crying and yelling googly, googly, googly.
I remember her doing that.
Yeah.
I forgot the secret word part.
Well, remember she gets scared and has an accident. And the old man says, it's okay. That happens to me too.
Yeah, okay.
It's okay to be scared. And what I do is...
Say googly, googly, googly.
So Googly is the name of the production company.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Which I thought was kind of a clever way to get that in there.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny stuff. So if you're listening and you haven't already, watch The Fall. I feel like we should work towards a wrap-up since my low bat light is blue.
All right. We can work towards a wrap-up.
It's October, man.
Yeah.
We got to watch some scary
I don't even have the bucket over here. I don't think I have the scary movies in the bucket right
I just had an idea pop into my brain.
Make it a surprise?
Well, what if we abandon the bucket?
Oh, my gosh.
And what if me and you each pick a must-see scary movie from that we love to talk about in our next episode?
Are we going to stick with the other person can't have seen it?
I almost don't even know if we should.
Okay, so we're gonna pick this off the top of our head right now, or we're just gonna announce it in online.
Let's announce it online.
Yeah, because I don't have one in my head right now. So
yeah, let's announce it online.
Okay, we'll do that.
So, dear listener, if you're listening right now, we are calling an audible, right?
Check our Twitter and our Facebook pages.
I'm gonna pick a must-see scary movie. Wes is gonna pick a must-see scary movie, something that really puts us in the Halloween spirit. Something that really lets us know... What? Spirit. Lets us know it's Halloween. It's the fun time of the year. Googly, googly, googly. So that part is going to be fun. So you keep listening. I think as soon as we make our picks, we'll go ahead and tweet that. So we can give you guys an advance notice about what you should be watching.
Yeah. All right.
What do you think?
I think it sounds good.
Sweet.
All right. Well, then that's going to wrap this up.
Let's wrap it on up.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. Shout out to Dwayne. Has this been a Cinepotamus Productions production?
Sure, why not?
Say it. Get promotative, man.
Let's just wrap it up for now.
We're wrapping it on up.
All right, thanks everyone. Until next time, bon cinema.